And there was something that I wanted to address that came out of the National Review, and
your feelings aren't her, are they?
No. The exact opposite. But there comes a point, Steve, where when people are lying about you and smearing you in public, where you feel like you have to go on record to defend yourself and deny it. But this is something that's been put out by David French, who was the guy who Bill Kristol tried to draft to sabotage Trump.
James, hold it. French is a presidential candidate, wasn't he?
That's right, presidential candidate.
Did he run for president? I think did he vote for himself, and his wife maybe voted for him?
Maybe.
This another guy. Didn't he run for president for like 2 weeks? He had all this. He was pontificating.
Well, he considered it.
How can anybody? How can anybody take
tweets?
How can anybody take a guy like this seriously?
Right, and it's not about him. It's about a greater pattern in the media. And again, I don't really care about David French's opinion. I think he pretty much that went out the door last year in 2016 when he tried to sabotage Trump. But this has been championed, pushed by Jonah Goldberg, Jake Tapper, the Obama bros, and everyone is trying to take me out of context and say that I told in an interview to CNN that Breitbart's coverage of the Alabama race was specifically covering up allegations against Judge Moore to protect Donald Trump. And I want to say that this is an absurd smear. I deny it entirely. And it's so absurd. Why would I volunteer to CNN that Breitbart withheld information to protect Trump? And it's just ridiculous on its face. But I never said, I want to be crystal clear about this, I never said Breitbart's coverage was motivated by protecting Trump. Here's what I said, Steve. I said the establishment media's attacks on Judge Moore were motivated by the desire to attack Trump. So it was actually the establishment media's playbook. And that's why Breitbart, by contrast to the rest of the press, was such a brave and essential voice. And let me show you the quote that was part of the CNN interview that David French highlights at National Review. I think this is me quoting me. I think that's the playbook here. I think that's part of the reason why it was so important for Breitbart to continue our coverage the way we covered it, in a tough manner, and perceive in particular to hold the line the way we did. I think a part of it is because it's not just about Judge Moore. It's not even about the anti-establishment. It's about what's coming next for President Trump. That's where the transcript cuts off at National Review. Yeah. Here's the problem. This is the next line that I say. That is a major factor I don't think anyone in the media has owned up to. I'm talking about the media's playbook, not the Breitbart playbook. The Breitbart playbook is, we call it like we see it. We do journalism. We have a populist, nationalist, conservative perspective, which we announce. But I'm not talking about the media. I'm not talking about Breitbart's playbook. I'm specifically talking about the media's playbook. And this has, of course, been taken out of context, sliced and diced. And of course, there's essential context missing. Let me give you some examples. I noted that the 5 other accusers of Judge Moore were not credible, either because they were legal and consensual or they were outrageous due to a conflict of interest or outright lying, like the forged yearbook. You guys remember that forged yearbook? Yeah. And I noted that the Lee Corfman story is still not fully credible. They're obsessed that I said it was somewhat credible. But then again, Steve, how do you learn if it's credible or not? You go and investigate, which is exactly what Breitbart did. We found holes and inconsistencies in her story, but not enough to dismiss her outright. And that's what I was trying to say. But it takes weeks of investigation that the media didn't want to do, because it feels so good, Steve, to simply just announce we believe all the victims without doing any actual work. Breitbart, we attempted to do the work. And I noted that the nature of these allegations, they come out very close to the election, and they're timed by the Republican establishment, according to reports, to inflict maximum damage, because there isn't enough time to fully go through it. And that did not stop the National Review from publishing. Let me read you this, Steve. Breitbart withheld from readers the judgment that an accuser had a lot of credibility as part of an effort to protect an entirely different politician from the possibility of future claims. Did you believe that? That we withheld information? Where does he get this lie from? Where does David French and Rich Lowry in the National Review get that lie? Steve, we're on this show, national radio, 3 hours a day. We splash the Lee Corfman allegations all over the top of our front page.
6 hours a day.
Yes, I'm sorry, sir. I'm on 3 hours a day. We're on 6 hours a day.
6 hours a day.
And I said multiple times on national radio.
How much national coverage does Rich Lowry and these guys get? Oh, they get the 2 snippets on Fox. That's right.
2 snippets on Fox. And I said that her story was not fully debunked on this show, and people should take this seriously. However, I did say the other 5 were not credible, and the media failed to establish a pattern. And I said that how do you get credibility? Are we supposed to believe the Washington Post at face value? Are we supposed to believe Gloria Allred at face value? We don't have to believe these things. We can investigate them. And what Breitbart found was that 5 of the stories didn't wash. One of them mostly did, and we presented all that. We withheld nothing. So let me read it for you. And of course we didn't cover anything up. We put it on our front page in the lead headline. Okay, so here's David French. He continues. In other words, Breitbart facilitated the continued persecution of a childhood assault victim for purely political purposes. So she was persecuted thanks to us, Steve, and we did it purely for political purpose. This man is a hysteric. He's a hysteric, and this is the guy who Bill Kristol wanted to
But you take this guy seriously. Any guy that's a Dimension Zero like this, I think his wife was trying to suck up to the Palin family. I think they were writing some bios. They were sucking up to the Palin family years ago.
Wow.
Oh yeah, no. There was another disaster. They were trying to suck up, do some. They were trying to do like one of the girls' biographies or something. And I mean, that's what this kind of people do, right? They kind of go from thing to thing to thing to try to pay the rent.
Okay,
how do you take a guy like that seriously? That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
You're all worked up on this guy. So I think it's so funny. He was going to run for president against Trump. Bill Kristol's idea. Remember the big drum roll? Who's Kristol got? Who's this guy? Yeah. They had this big thing. It's David French.
It's a look. He says that
I thought it was a Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah, we went down and did reporting to separate fact from fiction, and we withheld nothing. Later in the article, David French actually invokes Andrew Breitbart and says that basically I'm a disgrace to Andrew Breitbart's name, and I'm misleading his readers. Whoa. And it's all so dishonest. It's also out of context. And the National Review continues to publish this stuff.
You know, the National Review publisher came to me. This is how pathetic they are. A guy came to me a couple of years ago begging me to help him find money. That they they're not a for-profit thing. They lose money. It's just a cash drain. They don't, the donors aren't coming. Yeah, I hate to say. Did I say that on national radio? Come begging.
Unbelievable.
Begging with his tin cup out. Hey, introduce me to some donors. We need money. We're broke. It's just so the magazine. Here's the thing they never got that Andrew got.
Yeah.
Andrew understood new media. These guys they're just a magazine nobody reads with a website nobody goes to, right?
Yeah. And the National Review allows for this libel to be printed. I got to tell you, Steve, I grew up reading National Review. I had a subscription to it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, subscription to National Review.
Well, I admit it was a gift, but I did read it. It was I don't think I went out of my way to get it, but it was sent to me.
No wonder it took me so long to repurpose you.
Didn't take you very long.
No, it's for you pretty good.
Right. So no, but it's sort of thing where I don't think there's ever been an article written about me in the National Review, and this one is just it's one lie after the next, one smear after the next, taking CNN.
So are you calling David French a liar?
Oh, absolutely, he's a liar. Absolutely. I mean, this is libelous. This is a total disgrace to the National Review. And we reached out to Rich Lowry. He wasn't he wasn't inclined to make a correction, but that's fine because that's what we're Breitbart. We've got a national platform, and I'm just reminding the folks in National Review that the thing you guys missed, while you guys have so much contempt for the grassroots, we're on air walking you through all the context. I withheld nothing.
Look, they're
not about my opinion, not about the facts.
For the audience, here's what they're all upset about. All those guys, Weekly Standard, they used to have, and somebody just did this piece about it the other day. I think it was Tannenhouse, Sam Tannenhouse, or Sam Stein. They said, "Hey, with all this, highfalutin, establishment conservative media, they don't matter anymore." Well, the reason they're so upset with Breitbart and so upset with Trump and so upset with the people in back of the Trump movement is that nobody reads them anymore. Nobody pays attention. They don't have any. They have no influence.
I think it was Ross Douthat who writes at National Review who actually just said basically they have no influence.
Oh, that was Ross Douthat.
Yeah. No. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you're correct. I want to make sure that we get that right. I don't
spend enough time worrying about it. But now that you got all worked up about this, I did a little bit of focus.
You keep saying I'm worked up. I'm actually trying to identify a pattern. See, these guys have no effect on me. If anything, if anything, it helps me because I don't want the David Frenches of the world's approval. In fact, fact, it probably helps my brand if I don't have his approval. But it is a vicious smear that a once respectable publication puts out. I've never had a conversation with David French. I've never had a conversation with Rich Lowry. They just publish these smears about me. They don't know me. They don't listen to the 3 hours a day I was on radio during this process, walking through every nuance of my thinking and our reporting at Breitbart. It doesn't stop them from trying to put a smear out against me. And this is a pattern of what this desperate establishment media has done. And it is so crucial why what Breitbart is doing, because we are providing not just an alternative to the establishment press, but to these Washington establishment elite who have such a high opinion of themselves, and yet they have zero influence, and they're never correct anymore. They're always wrong. And it's just important to see the pattern of taking things out of context, smears, it gets amplified on Twitter, and then before you know it, you have someone who's they're trying to destroy people, and they're claiming the moral high ground, which is the most absurd part of it all.
I'm going to give you my saying. Honey Badger doesn't give it. Okay, anyway.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to, I tell you what, let's take a break. We got to pay the bills here. A commercial break. We'll come back. Alex, we're going to bring in Jonathan Gillum, the former Navy SEAL FBI special agent. Got some good news for the people out there. We want to make sure that Jonathan helps us spread. Breitbart News Daily will be back in a moment.
We will make America great again.